like the book of Esther. In the book of Esther, God is not mentioned one time. And yet that book is so profound. You see God moving all through it. And Mark, but I remember the one thing we've always loved about Life Dynamics and you, when we first talked about it, I said, you know, there's a parallel between abortion and slavery. And I'll always remember that phone call I got from you, Brother Johnny. This is deeper than you think.
Right. Yeah, right.
I always remember that. You said, you're not dealing with two separate issues, brother. You're dealing, and
same issue.
Yes, and I think that's what goes so well. The documentation is so deep and so rich. What we found out with key black people that's been watching, like I said, I gave this to a radio engineer, and his name is Jimmy Lewis, and Jimmy Lewis watched that thing twice in one night.
Wow. Yeah.
And the reason he was watching it twice because he kept going back and pausing it, and he said what he read while he was listening to it, there was some stuff worse than what they were saying.
Well, he ought to see some of the stuff we left out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right.
Yes.
That was the biggest challenge that we had in putting the thing together is, you know, I can remember a couple of times when we first started editing it, and we already knew it was going to be, you know, longer than what we had originally anticipated. And I'd say something to Carol or to Troy, to Kyle, and I'd say, okay, well, we're not putting that quote in there. Oh, no, you got to put that in there. I said, okay. Which one do you want to take out? Because we're maxed out. And again, I'll tell you that we could do another DVD just with the material that we left out, just like Maafa 21. There's that much material out there. And, you know, talking about God's hand, and we're out of time here, so let me just make this point, God's hand in this deal. I think one of the most amazing examples of that was that just a few weeks after we released this thing, that quote by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Here is the most radical, hardcore pro-abort justice on the United States Supreme Court coming out and saying basically what's in Maafa 21 is true. Yes. That this was not about women's rights. It wasn't about reproductive choice. It was about, well, as she said, getting rid of certain populations that we don't want there to be too many of. This is a sitting United States Supreme Court justice. And I had one African-American, I'm going to tell you this story real quick before we go. I had one African-American radio host that I'd kind of talked about this, and he hadn't seen the whole thing yet, but he knew what it was about, and somebody else told him about it, and he wasn't totally sold. And he called me right after he heard that Ginsburg quote, and he said, man, the hair all over my body stuck straight out when I heard that quote. And now he's big on board. He's really pushing the thing. And I think that's God saying, that's God telling us you're on the right track.
Amen.
When that woman said that's what I took from it. Now maybe I'm seeing something that's not there.
When he handed out the NAACP, he put Maafa 21 in the hands of people with Ginsburg quote.
With Ginsburg quote. And because this movie proves what she said. That's right. And she said, she proves what this movie said. She was, it's astonishing. Thanks, guys. Great show. That's it for 2009. Until January, remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how the killing stops. We'll see you next year. Can you?